Welcome one, welcome all to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, Friday night crypto and chill, where we just pour some drinks and talk about the week in crypto and life in general and just kind of whatever topics come up. So with me tonight, as always, is Jeff, the BRC142, aka the Blockchain Report. We got David from DeFi University, our Wednesday show with him and Jake, where we go a little highbrow with DeFi and
Most
talk
of the
about
time.
some of the advanced strategies, and you might need a thesaurus or something. to walk
Yeah, no kidding.
but no, it's all good. I mean, that's you need to up your game. If you want to be successful in this game, you got to up your game. So we got DeFi Don in the chat, and then Black Ice and the rest of the crew. What's up? What's up? So let's go through and show what we're drinking. I got the Guinness and a shot of Jameson. So what do you got, Jeff?
Finishing off this little black label. It's not much. It's a little watered down and some ice, but yeah. So.
Yeah, man.
Got like a freaking mug of scotch.
Right, hey, sometimes you need it.
It's like that much,
right?
Like half.
It's been a rough week in crypto. All right, what are you drinking?
Man, I've got this Trappist blonde ale. I think it's from Belgium, but they've got these monks, man. They just like keep them locked in a cave somewhere, and all they do is make beer. It's great. I love this.
Back to work, freaking
master.
Yeah. Make my beer.
What percentage is that?
10.
Ooh, nice stout.
Yeah, it's good, man. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see what the chat's drinking. So Nick Dunn says, let's get unhinged. We got Jay King. He's drinking Casey Jones Kentucky bourbon. I like it. I might have to see if I can find me some of that. And actually, anything, freaking bourbon from Kentucky or that whole area, it's got to be good or they'd get run out of town. Let's see.
That Apothic wine that you had, Mike, that was aged in those barrels, that was really good.
Yeah, that Apothic Inferno. It's a cab, I believe, and they age it, and then they age it in a old whiskey barrel. So it has a little bit of that whiskey heat to it. Oh, so good with the steak.
Yeah, that one is good.
Yeah, and it's not expensive. It's like a $10, $12 bottle of wine. It's like I'm not a wine snob at all. My palate is not that refined.
You know what's weird about that though, Mike? Like I've noticed that if I drink, especially red wines that are like less than $15, I'm more likely to end up getting a horrible headache. But if I drink the stuff that's a little bit more expensive, it don't really get a headache. I feel like there's some type of preservative or something that gets mixed in there at some point for like most cheap wines, but I don't know.
You know what?
I had some of that.
What's that?
I said I'm the same way, like with the cheaper wines, but that wine that you had, Mike, I mean, you said it wasn't expensive, right?
No, that one's really good.
Yeah.
I
didn't feel any kind of sluggishness the next day.
Yeah, the first night we drank the dark, and that's a really kind of fruity, and then just like a really kind of a heavy red, and then that Inferno is awesome. Not a big fan of some of the other Apothics though, but anyway. So let's jump on. I'm just going to quickly go over. Let's go over to here, and we'll add David to the stage as well. But go ahead and do the socials, and then I'm just going to touch on a couple of updates to Canton Network that came out today and the past couple of days, and then we'll just kind of just jump on into the conversation. Jeff's going to guide the conversation tonight. I'm going to sit back and handle the chat, and we're just going to kind of let things flow. So kick it off, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on this fabulous Friday here at DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, where me and Mike go live every Tuesday and Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Also, Mike goes live on Mondays with the Money Talks, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Wednesdays with the DeFi Masterclass with our wonderful guests David and Jake Call at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. I highly recommend checking those shows out because I learned so much stuff. So fantastic. And we appreciate having you on, David.
I love that stuff. It's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. Interviews on Thursdays, 2 p.m. We'll be dropping, so check those out. Mike's got a DeFi Academy. It's all free. 12 episodes, I believe. So if you're looking to get into DeFi, this is a great place to start. Also, check out our brother channels, Jake Call, Blockchain Basement, Discover Crypto, David's DeFi University, and me at the Blockchain Report. And Jake Call also has Metrics Finance, portfolio simulation tracker, and they're rolling out a bunch of new. I think they're revamping it, right?
Yeah, and David's actually working with him real quick. I want to mention David's actually working with him to bring. Well, I guess I could have David tell you, but basically like the Delta and Vega and all those different data points. Like David, you tell him. I'm going to.
Yeah. So you know how when people tell you, "Oh, I don't get it. You're speaking in Greek." Well, when it comes to the Uniswap stuff, we actually do need these Greeks to understand it properly. Liquidity provision requires that you know what the Greeks are. And I think it's going to be really, really valuable when Jake and I are able to get integrated into metrics, the ability to track your delta, gamma, theta, vega, and maybe rho. Those are the 5 Greeks that you need. For Uniswap, it's a little bit different, but still very, very valuable because you end up learning things about your LPs that you would have no other way of knowing. And to be completely honest, you guys, like tracking Greeks is totally normal when you're trading options. Like it's just, run of the mill. Like you need to know that or you can't trade. But for Uniswap, you're basically trading options. Like it's the exact same thing. A little bit different, but basically the exact same thing. I'm surprised no one's built that functionality yet.
Well, let's circle back to that after Jeff finishes. But I make sure you put a pin in that because I do want to get into that because I want to go over what each of those are just for the sake of letting people out there knowing what deltas are and vegas are and things like that. But go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, and if you're interested in checking out Metrics Finance, they do have a free option and we recommend you start there just to see if it provides you any value. Then you can go up either monthly memberships or yearly. And also David's DeFi University does have a free section, and it is paid as well, $97 a month. And you get Monday through Friday daily live mentorships, a 6 mastery course, beginner to advanced, over 150 members in the community. And even some of them are joining our community in the Discord and sharing insights and info. We do have a free Discord as well. A lot of great people in that community. And Mike's DeFi
Don is one of them.
DeFi Don in the chat. What's up? What's up?
What's up, DeFi Don?
And real quick on that too, David, if you want to catch us up on the changes that you did and made a bunch more stuff free.
Oh, dude, I've made some big upgrades to DeFi University over the last couple of weeks, but really just in the last week. So I made the university itself, the school, it's all free, except for the live calls. And the live calls really are where a lot of the value is. If you want to be able to ask questions of myself or anyone else in the group live, we go live twice a day. So there's 10 hours of live calls each week in the community. Yeah. So the first hour is, well, it depends on the day, but at 1 hour of advanced and 1 hour of beginner. And so for the beginner portion, I created 5 courses and I turned them into books, and I'm publishing them. Actually, I was publishing them just as we were about to get started on Amazon. So it's 5 courses. And if you go to the website, actually, Jeff, I'll be able to walk you through it because it's all free on the website too.
Let's have a finish real quick, and then we'll get into that, and then we'll touch on letting you finish with the theta and gamma as well.
The Greeks.
Sure. The Greeks, yeah. So I mean, big upgrades, but it's all free over there.
Awesome. Yeah. And Mike's DeFi Wise newsletter, just under $20 a month. You get newsletter Monday through Friday, early in the morning before the markets open. He gets up super early to get this alpha each day out to you, and been nailing a lot of the ranges. So check that out. People are sharing their testimonials in the Discord, so it's great to see everyone getting value from that. You can catch us on Twitter, _only_DCA. You can catch Mike at Veteran4Crypto, me at the BCR142. We're streaming on Pump.fun and now the Arena. So check us out here. We've been getting a lot of love on the Arena. So, if you're on Twitter, jump in the chat on YouTube because we can get a lot more engagement on there than we do on Twitter. So
you can actually talk to everybody. So
yeah, you can actually talk to people on there.
All right, so let's go ahead and kick it over to David. Tell us, finish telling us about the updates to DeFi University, and then tell us about the Greeks, and then we'll kick on into. I'll give some Canton updates, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Sure. Yeah. So actually, if you start from the website, Jeff, if you're controlling the screen here, if you actually start from, well, either way, it's free to sign up, free to join. But if you go to the website, you'd be able to see the course material. And I think it's a little bit better on the website than it is in the school community. The school community, you can go through the same courses here, but okay. So now that you've signed in, if you head on over to Classroom or just go to the website, either way.
Yeah, I'll just go to the website. I think I have to put in the verification code, but we'll go here.
Yeah, so you see in the top right there where it says Course Hub. So if you click on Course Hub, and then if you just go ahead and sign in, then there we go. Awesome. So now you can see, you got to sign back in. But once you're signed back in, you'll be able to see that account hub, that tracking dashboard. And the cool thing about the tracking dashboard is it connects to all of the courses and all of the quizzes in the courses and all of the interactive elements in the courses. And so you can actually track your progress through these educational courses. And it's all free. So I think that's pretty cool. The plan is to, run some type of an airdrop at some point because all of the engagement is tracked for points. So, what I'm basically doing here is like farming engagement on the courses. So if you click on maybe like the Perpetual Futures course, for example, if you click on that one, and then from there, if you click on Continue Learning, then that big blue button there, it's going to take you to the Course Hub. And let's see here. Yep, there we go. Looks like it's just taking a second to load. So now you're in the Perpetual Futures course within the DeFi University Course Hub. And so there are 5 courses here. It's the Beginner DeFi Concepts. It's the Investor Mindset course, Liquidity Provision, Money Markets, and Perpetual Futures. And then there's also a pretty good glossary right there too. So if you click, let's say, on Lesson 1, over on the left-hand panel there, if you click on Lesson 1, so every single one of these lessons has a podcast that you can listen to. It's a podcast overview, and you can also play the video overview of the lesson. And then as you go through the lesson material, you can see it on the right-hand side of the screen there, everything in the lesson. There are also interactive elements within each of these lessons. So if you, eventually go through, usually there aren't interactive elements in the first lesson, but definitely in lesson 2 and the rest of them. And then at the end of each module, and the format of each of these courses is the same. So there are 3 modules with 4 lessons per module and 1 quiz at the end of each module. And so your engagement in all of this is tracked in your account hub for points. So there will be some type of an airdrop eventually based on, those points that you accrue. And nice. This here is what I go through every day. So, Monday is Investor Mindset, Tuesday is Beginner DeFi Concepts, Wednesday is Liquidity Provision, Thursday is Money Markets, and Friday is Perpetual Futures. And so every day for an hour, I go through one of the lessons in one of these courses. So, yeah, pretty cool.
So really quick, summarize as much as you can, but what are the Greeks? Like just kind of, what is like the, deltas and gammas and, all the different things, I know one of them is fees, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. So please.
So if I had to describe it in terms of like an analogy, I would think of it like this. Are you familiar with a marionette? The dude who's got like the thing he's holding, like, with the strings or whatever. So if you can imagine each one of those fingertips with a string attached to it, that is a Greek. And then the thing that's being manipulated is price down below. Or, in this case, if we're talking about concentrated liquidity, it would be your liquidity position is what's being manipulated. And so you've got all of these Greeks up top. You've got delta, which is your rate of change, and they're all derivatives, okay? So you've got delta, you've got gamma, which is like the speed of your delta. You've got theta, which is like your fees. You've got vega, which is the volatility element. And then you've got rho, which is the risk-free rate of return, so the cost of money. And so those 5 little marionette things together will determine how your NFT or your liquidity position reacts to price movements. Okay. So it's all about determining, am I going to be able to make money or not? And if price moves, what does that do to my position?
Is that what we do in crypto? Is make money?
Yeah, man.
I almost forgot.
I mean, yeah. Well, it's really easy to buy stuff, and then number goes down, and then it's like, oh shit, what do I do now?
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's.
When I have the options page pulled up, because that's where I really learned about the Greeks from trading options.
Yep.
And theta is like the rate of decay in price over time. The delta is how much the price will increase or decrease over time, right?
Honestly, I'm probably just going to print it out, and put it on my wall or something like that.
Gamma's the volatility, the amount of volatility in that price movement, I believe, but I don't really know about rho.
Yeah, rho is the cost of money. So rho is your like the risk-free interest rate. So whatever you could be earning, but aren't because you've deployed that capital into an option or into a CLP. The cost of that money is usually it's not something that you really have to factor in all that much. But if interest rates are 10%, then you need to factor that in. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to just riff. So I'm going to burn through this stuff real quick because there's a lot of it. And this is just off of Canton's thread on X. So Canton Network is basically minting and using U.S. treasuries on Canton coming in 2026, enabling tokenized USTS to be exchanged in near real time with stablecoins and other digital assets. So this is the DTCC, and that's the governing body for what is it for, like stocks and all that kind of stuff. So they are actually tokenizing, like they're starting to tokenize all this starting next year, and this is an official announcement from them. You can go to the actual DTCC site, and I actually went there and got this article, and it talks about how they are officially using Canton Network. You can see here. I actually ran it through an AI, and we can dive into it if you guys want to. I'll have it on the side, but I definitely just want to make sure that we're covering the updates that's going on Canton. And the reason that I keep bringing this project and certain projects up is because everyone is so hyper focused on price, and they FUD themselves out, and they get such a negative mindset. And this goes into some of David's lessons too about mindset. Is people get in this negative mindset because price go down. Yes, price is important, especially if you're trading short term. But with a long-term mindset, if you are investing in fundamentals and projects that are becoming part of the infrastructure and the rails for the future financial system, price shouldn't really matter to you, because you can look at early projects like Amazon where the price sucked. We can actually go to really quick. We'll go to the Canton price chart, and you can see that since launch, it's kind of down only. I mean, just recently we started getting some upward movement, but since launch, I mean, this was ugly. people were just like, screw Canton. And I kept telling people, watch what they're doing, not what Price is doing. And that's the best advice I can give you on that. So also, looks like Bankless was talking about the same thing.
I don't agree,
like,
Mike. I
what's
think
that?
price, I don't agree, bro. I think price matters. And I think the price is telling us that most of these projects, the tokens are disconnected from the fundamentals of the projects. So I think that most of these tokens are memes in some way.
Potentially, but I would, in my mind, I would wait to make those determinations, much like I would wait to make those determinations on tokens like Aerodrome, for example.
Well, they did just launch recently, so the price, they're going to be kind of trying to find that settlement.
No, David has a valid point. It's a lot of these price discovery. We're moving from that speculative market to a utility market, and it's something I've been telling people for a long time. Is retail was guessing at what these projects were worth via the token, whereas these institutions, they're going to look at it from, does it generate value? Does it have revenue? We're moving into that type of market where, you got to change how you think about these projects. I 100% agree with David. I just, however, I'm a little more risk on, where I'm looking for these projects for long-term investing in the hopes that the price will go up. But I would rather gamble on these with solid fundamentals than some of these other ones where it's just hopium. And people are, just because I see a lot of price movement, and I'm interested in the long term. So anyway,
just another layer 2. This is the next layer 2 that we've developed and launched. Like, there's a million fucking layer 2s that have crashed and burned. So it's
so we don't need the big problem for me, you guys, is it's so easy to look at a piece of news on X like this and see, oh, this is great news, but then to look at the token and to think that it is in some way similar to looking at a stock. It's not. It's not at all.
I mean, the XRP loss, freaking, somewhat put that to rest. And the SEC recently came out and said, if something is a security before it's tokenized, it's a security after it's tokenized. If it's not, then it's not after. And the lawsuit between Ripple and the SEC, Judge Torres, ruled that XRP is not a security. And that was actually a negative thing for XRP holders, because XRP would have been, had a lot more chance of a higher valuation if it was stock in Ripple. Whereas now it's a gas token that that Ripple can endlessly dump to fund operations. So you were saying, Dave,
that's kind of scammy too, man. Like that makes me, like, when I think of XRP, I get grossed out. It's like it's a gross project, man. Like all they've been doing for over a decade is dumping on their own holders. And what do they have to show for it? Like, what have they shipped? A stable coin that isn't even on their own chain. It's on Ethereum, like mostly on Ethereum. It's like, it's just, it's really, really a shame that it smells wrong. Something smells funky about it. But bringing it back to Canton, though, so the token, it's so difficult to value these tokens, even the ones that actually, where the protocol actually generates revenue. Even then, it's super difficult to apply some type of value to the token. So these are not stocks. And most of these tokens are like completely disconnected from any type of fundamentals in the protocol itself. So it's like most of them, I think, are just completely uninvestable, even with this great news. Like, this is great news, right? Seeing, TradFi stuff come on chain, but it doesn't mean anything for the token, though. So,
but would you rather invest in something that fundamentally has stuff going on, and then as the project evolves, and as there's liquidity pools and different things for these these tokens, then you can leverage that, or invest in stuff like XRP, just hoping that someday it's going to go up, or
I don't
some meme.
know.
You know what I mean?
I like making money, and like it's really difficult in crypto and in DeFi to
Yeah.
be able to consistently make money. And I think that there are really, when I think about it, there are like maybe, I don't know, a dozen projects that have protocol tokens where the protocol actually generates revenue and returns that revenue to token holders in a decent way. But even those tokens look like dog shit, like when you look at the charts. And I've just got to think that most of this stuff is still massively overvalued. And post having years, so we're supposed to get some type of euphoria. We never got it. And going into 2026, in the midterm years usually suck. So like, I think that the Fed, with its not QE, buying $45 billion of bonds at the front end, or not bonds, excuse me, bills, at buying the very front end. Great. Okay, so we've got QE, but I don't know, the stock market's at all-time highs. And I feel like that's the only thing supporting Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's kind of like the canary in the coal mine. Like it made the downside move before the S&P. And the S&P is still supported by, AI hype. So if the S&P gives back even 5 or 10%, I think Bitcoin gets crushed. But, I don't want to see that at all. But I think we're solidly in a Bitcoin bear market. And I think most other tokens are still massively overvalued compared to their actual cash flows. So it's difficult for me to get excited about news like this, because what do I buy? What do I invest in?
What how they determine the valuation on a lot of these, and again how the tokenomics evolve and how the project evolves. But let me hit this up real quick, because I want to kick it over to Jeff and let him guide the rest of the discussion. But I have a bunch more, but I'm just going to go over this one. TradFi meets DeFi on Canton. With 6 trillion plus in on-chain assets, 350 billion in daily repo, and 616 validators, Canton has become a thriving ecosystem. And this ecosystem of apps, assets, and infrastructure is expanding fast. So basically what Canton Network is it's a network of networks. And so there's all of these institutions that have siloed networks. And basically what Canton does is it connects those siloed networks with layers of interoperability, layers of what's the word I'm looking for? Already starting to get a buzz.
Composability, maybe?
Oh, no, it's regulatory compliance. So basically regulatory compliance, all of the stuff that we would expect from, a DeFi project or a crypto project, automating a lot of the processes that used to involve, manual processes, somebody manually in there, checking trades and making sure that, everything was compliant and, things like that now is going to be done automatically. So that's kind of why I'm waiting. And yes, is there risk involved with investing in crypto? Absolutely. Is this financial advice? Absolutely not. Am I a total degen? Yes, I am. But I have small amounts of my portfolio in some of these projects, because if they become the next Amazon or the next, Microsoft, or, or even, smaller companies, there's upside. How much? I don't know. But I find it exciting. I'm putting some money in the game. It's like, going on one of those websites that everybody's all hot about right now, and betting on if it's going to snow on Christmas, yes or no. It's stocks. It's all gambling. It's all just legal gambling. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. And then I have the majority of my portfolio and more solid things that I'm DeFiing to get that, try to build my bag, so if we ever do get some kind of pump. So that's about all I got. Jeff, I'm going to kick it on over to you, and you go ahead and guide this conversation. Now I'm going to take a shot.
Sweet. Cheers, Mike.
Cheers, fellas. Cheers, everyone in the chat.
Cheers.
Viewers.
Ooh, spicy.
Got some hair on your chest. So
yeah,
I found this interesting. The whole quantum blockchain technology and quantum computing and stuff, and everyone all worried about Satoshi's wallet being hacked when quantum computers come out. And I just thought it'd be an interesting topic to kind of touch on. And Adam Back, I don't know if anyone's familiar with him, but he came out saying that it's not as much of a concern right now, in the real estimating a real risk 20 to 40 years away, if feasible at all. And actually, him and I think Michael Saylor were saying that Bitcoin can upgrade to post-quantum signatures through soft forks, much like past improvements. So I don't know if you guys have any knowledge or ideas about quantum resistance, but I know there's some projects that have been building. OPNet is one of them that they're in their testnet phase, and they did a full system upgrade where they introduced a certain signature scheme, MLDSA, post-quantum signature scheme. So it protects against future quantum attacks. And the signature scheme is standardized by the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology as of last year. And it has different features, but I guess this is their first introduction into post-quantum cryptography, which I thought was interesting. And I don't know, I thought that it would be more of a concern, but I guess doing some research, the developers aren't really concerned because they realize the difficulty that it would cause for them to the quantum computing as it is right now. I'm not a developer, but I found this really interesting that, we're still quite a ways away from that even being a possibility. And if it's a possibility at all with the Bitcoin updates and other networks, but different projects that are building. Let's see. Oh, also Aptos. They proposed a quantum resistant signature to future-proof blockchain security.
Can you go back real quick, Jeff, to the post where Adam Back had said something? So what exactly does he mean? I must not understand this correctly. Doesn't Bitcoin use SHA-256, like the algorithm? So
yeah.
So how is that?
For quantum FUD promoters, Bitcoin does not use encryption. Get your basics right, or it's a tell. And this Adrian, I don't know who this is, some tech nerd, but Adrian. So he said, Adam's right to point out that if you don't understand this rather simple distinction, you probably should not be talking about QC cracking Bitcoin. So TLDR, a quantum computer wouldn't decrypt a private key. It would use Shor's algorithm to calculate a private key from a public key.
What's the difference? Like, how is that any different?
And my thing is seed phrase, right? It could come up with the seed phrase, but you don't necessarily need the private key, right?
But it's the same thing. The seed phrase is just the human readable version of the private key. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give my 2 cents, and it's just like a 10-second statement. I'm not worried about quantum computing because if a quantum computer can crack crypto, it's going to crack everything.
It would go after missiles first.
Missiles, weapon systems, anything digital connected to the internet. You got banks, every institution, everything's fucked. So
for real, man, you better have some cows on a ranch and some chickens.
Yeah, like I said, that's why I couldn't care less about it, because if it happens, crypto is going to be the least of my worries.
But then why did Adam Back post that? Because that seems like it's super misleading to say, well, hey, you don't know what you're talking about because Bitcoin doesn't use encryption. Well, but if quantum can just generate your private key, then Like, isn't that, I don't understand why he would post that. That doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah.
Why does anybody post anything?
But I mean, he's got real influence, like he's probably one of the guys that was involved in creating this piece of computer science technology. So, and I'm much more concerned about the miner's business model than I am about quantum, because quantum's kind of like, a tail risk. It's a black swan. Like, you can't really do anything about it. Maybe if they wanted to prepare for it now, maybe they could, but I don't even know how many people actually maintain Bitcoin. Like, how many Bitcoin developers are there? I have no idea. But I'm much more concerned about the miners not being able to keep their machines on.
Making your beer in the cave.
Hell yeah, man. Actually, you know what? That might not be a good thing, because if it's a really small group of people, then all right, you've got all this decentralized mining hardware. But if the software that runs on those computers is controlled by a dozen dudes somewhere, then like Bitcoin's not decentralized if that's the case. And I just don't know. Is it? I don't know. How many Bitcoin developers are there? That's something I've been thinking about.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, we don't really see a lot of
because there's got to be some people, maintaining the Bitcoin code in some way, like, right? Because if Saylor's talking about, well, we could just do some type of soft fork. Well, who are the guys writing the code for that soft fork?
Yeah.
It's got to be someone somewhere.
He said, we're going to re-encrypt all the Bitcoin and all the wallets.
Re-encrypt.
Great. Awesome. I thought there was no encryption.
And this quantum or Castle wallet from Crown Network offers, I guess this is their solution, offers proactive user level solution. So built with post-quantum cryptography, powered by QEM Corp's QRNG hardware for true quantum randomness and key generation, eliminating predictable entropy vulnerabilities, the classical RNG. I don't know what RNGs mean. So multi-chain support, including Bitcoin, so you can securely store and manage.
Hey, have you guys seen how that company Cloudflare, they secure like half the websites in the world or something? Have you seen how they generate random numbers? It's pretty cool. They've got a camera set up that looks at a wall in all of their different like headquarters around the world. They've got a half dozen of them or something. And so this camera is looking at like wind chimes, a bunch of them, up against a wall. And they use that, which is completely random, to generate random numbers. They've got a couple of other ways that they do it, but it's kind of cool. Yeah, it's kind of cool how they do that. Because random number generators, I don't know how it works, but random number generators are apparently not random. So, oh, that's what RNG stands for, random number generator.
Okay.
Yeah.
We brought you on.
All right.
So no need to wait for contentious Bitcoin protocol upgrade or soft hard fork. Individual holders can protect their keys today. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, this project Coranium, world's first quantum secure layer 1 blockchain for financial institutions. And yeah, like Mike was saying, everything else will be hacked. All your accounts will be hacked if quantum computing can crack that stuff. So Bitcoin would be the least of anybody's worries. And who
be like
who would
that old war games movie with Matthew Broderick, where it's like, do you want to play a game? I want to play geothermal nuclear war.
Oh, I remember that movie. Yeah.
And at that point, who's going to be stealing all of the, if you have that quantum computer and you're hacking everybody, what's that going to do? Like, what good is that going to do you? Are you going to own all the Bitcoin and all the assets in the world?
Honestly, we go back to gold and silver and precious metals and physical currency, because anything digital could not be trusted in the financial system. That's why That's why I'm so diversified. I got ammo, I got gold, I got silver, I got food storage, I got my property and stuff, and I got, crypto because it covers all my bases. No matter what happens, I'm good. And
He's a whiskey.
yeah, I got a guy down the road that has his own still and makes his own shine. So we're good up here. We got booze, we got bullets, we got beans. We're all good.
Yeah, man. But to your point, Jeff, about why would someone want to do this? Well, I think that there are some people. What's that? I don't know what movie it's from, but I think it might be some James Bond movie where he says, I think one of the villains says, some people just want to see the world burn. Or maybe that was Batman, actually. That was Batman. That was a Batman movie. But I mean, yeah, dude, there's a lot of sycophants out there.
Churchill.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe it was John F. Kennedy. No, it was Batman.
Yeah, it's Batman. But I mean, dude, like, I don't know. It's really difficult for me to be on X and not start getting angry. My feed is just craziness, dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
The only difference is I love trolling. It is my guilty pleasure. I'll go through it like in the chats, like on the YouTube channels in the morning and on X, and somebody says something stupid and I cannot help but poke the bear and just get them riled up. And just the more emotional they get, the more I poke them, and it's just, it's people are just like, there's such a lack of emotional discipline in the world today. It's just, everyone is so sensitive to anything that doesn't agree with them. It's really weird to me. Like, I love opposing opinions. Crypto Steve-O and me, we butt heads all the time. He was on Tuesday's show. Me and David, we don't agree on everything. We've been live before, and we were going back and forth about Arrow. I love it, and not in a negative way. It's like, I love my thought processes being challenged to where I have to, formulate and rethink and admit that sometimes, oh shit, I don't know everything about this. I need to add that to my data bank, reprocess it, and come up with a new thesis or a new picture or a new way of looking at something. If you're not doing that, why are you alive? You're not learning anything. You're not growing in any way whatsoever. Find people that aren't in your echo chamber. That's what bothers me so much about like XRP and stuff like that, is they get in those echo chambers and they just say the same little buzzwords, in the same little phrases, and get each other, whipped up into a gay little frenzy. And it's just, it's silly. I just don't get it. But sorry,
XRP is a great short, man. A great short. Like I think XRP down to 60 cents. That's a great short for me. I think.
Yeah. Sorry,
you gotta be humble and have some humility, man. And be able to admit when you're wrong. Because I was watching the Joe Rogan, Brett Weinstein, and he was saying, if you can admit when you're wrong, the faster you can admit when you're wrong, the quicker you can get back to being right.
Yeah, man. Well, they were talking about Sam Harris, and dude,
I was just gonna say that, man,
has just like lost his mind. And I loved his book. I used to really love listening to him speak. He's so articulate, brilliant guy, but he's got an advanced case of Trump derangement syndrome. And I think it might be terminal, unfortunately. There's no coming back from that, man. Like, he's got a terminal case. Like, he can't come back to, reality. And that's what they were talking about. But,
it's due to emotion. Emotion clouds judgment.
So I think about
when
this
he's so
all the
intelligent
time.
that he, I think he's gotten so far down that rabbit hole that he thinks that his I don't know how to word it, but he thinks his statements are trump everybody else's.
No pun intended.
Yeah, man. It's just like, but the emotional insecurity and immaturity, Mike, that you're talking about, where people cannot stand to be challenged in any way. And if they are, they cry foul somehow. I think that is I think that's literally from our educational system. I think the end of the media that people consume. I think that people are brought up into that, and I think it's because our institutions are Marxist, man. I think our universities are Marxist.
I think a lot of it is a lack of masculinity, because back in the day, I mean, you fell down and got hurt and, cried. Your dad told you, get up, dust yourself off, stop crying. I remember being on trips, long road trips with my dad. And, if, that arm, that they're waving it back there, trying to smack the shit out of you while, they're going down the road, it's just, it sounds like, terrible, but, we're missing that in today's day and age.
But it's not terrible, man. It's not terrible.
If you lift off to somebody, and because you had to talk face to face to people, if you lift off to somebody enough,
you're going to get hit, man.
Yeah, you get
and like, dude, there are a lot of people who like could learn very valuable lessons from getting beat the fuck up, like, really. So yeah, like that's just real, dude.
Ever
Like,
since the anti-no word generation, yeah.
I mean, you need to. Have you guys seen the movie Fight Club? I think that you need that, man. Like, you don't know anything
David,
about
the
yourself.
First rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club.
I know, man. I know. I'm just trying to make a point. It's like, dude, I feel like most quote unquote men now, like, have never been in a fight, like shy away from confrontation, like are afraid all the time, always, oh, I'm so sorry. And now there's all this white guilt where it's just like people hate themselves for bullshit.
What?
For bullshit.
They didn't do anything. What are you feeling guilty about?
I have no idea, man. But that's what I'm talking about. It's like pumped into your brain through the media, through schools and universities. And so like you got this entire generation of like, 30-something-year-old men who are just like incapable of reasoning, number one. And you can't have a conversation with someone if they're going to take offense if you disagree with them. Like, how are you supposed to sit down and have an exchange of ideas if they're just going to call you names?
Well, and you can't debate emotion. It's like how you feel isn't right or wrong. It's just how you feel. But you can't debate feelings. You can debate facts. You can debate logic. If you look at, all the old philosophers and, stuff like that, they were never sitting around debating about emotions. Everyone can feel different about.
But Mike, what if you can't agree on basic facts? Like,
that's
dude,
the
if
problem.
You can't agree that there are two genders, then it's hard to have a conversation, man.
No, and I think that's almost done like intentionally. Is blur the lines of the definition of words to where you can't have an intelligent discussion or a logical discussion. It has to be an emotional one based on your personal feelings, and you're never going to see eye to eye, so you'll always be divided.
Yep, and that reduces it to oppressor and oppressed. And that's the core tenet of Marxism, man. And so if you read like 1984, and there are two other books. So it's 1984, and then Aldous Huxley wrote one, and then there's a third one. I don't recall the names of the other two.
Talking about Fahrenheit 142, or
Fahrenheit 451, and then 1984. But they all talk.
Shrugged is another good one.
Ayn Rand is great, man. But you read those books, and something they all have in common is in that dystopian future, the authoritarian regime changes the meaning of words. And so if you can't agree on basic facts with people, it's probably because they've just changed the definition of words. That's definitely possible. We started to see that during COVID, man, when they changed the definition of a vaccine. And it's like, what? Like, excuse me? I thought a vaccine kept you from getting the thing or being able to transmit it. But now you're saying, we're just going to change the definition. Don't you worry about that. And it's definitely safe and effective. Like, bro, those shots. Yeah, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, man. But if we can't agree on language and we can't agree on basic facts, it's really hard to be able to have a conversation, man.
Well, the Marxist thing in universities, I tell people, I even shared the video, the Yuri Bezmenov, a former KGB agent from Russia in the 80s, was talking about
back
this.
in the 80s. And he
infiltrating the universities and education system.
He was like Nostradamus, dude. He was like a prophet. He was just.
He said it was already underway.
It totally succeeded, bro. Like 100%. Like, you look at, so I went to UC San Diego, and then I spent some time at UC Berkeley, but I've spent time at a bunch of campuses.
Out the way that you are.
Huh? I don't know, man. Probably because I saw what was going on there, and
Berkeley's like the freaking
it's
like
straight up communist, man. Straight up communist, bro. Like it's really, really crazy. But you also have brilliant people there. That's the thing. Like that's what I really enjoyed, was I can be around the smartest people in the world, but they're fucking nuts. So like that was a problem for me. So like, but dude, what Yuri Bezmenov was saying, that's already happened.
But you're highly intelligent.
I mean, yeah, man. Like I do my best, but dude, like I am actually like really concerned that that if a conservative does not win the next election, that we could descend into some type of like horrible situation, because it seems to me like there's a sizable portion of the country that just doesn't live in reality. Like, dude, I don't want to see men competing in women's sports, bro. Like, I don't want to see that. That's horrible.
Newsom's digging his heels into that.
Like, bro, I don't want men in women's bathrooms. That's insane, And it's just like the stuff that's going on in California and New York. They're trying to export that to the rest of the country. And if there's not some like saying, hey, you know what? No, we're not going to do this. This is nuts. Then they will succeed in exporting that to the rest of the country, man. And yeah, Bezmenov, he was spot on.
Yeah. So I'm not going to play the whole thing, but if you're looking for it, just go to YouTube and Google full interview with Yuri Bezmenov. But basically,
what they expect a defector to be intimidated. Once they spot that you are scared,
that was with the KGB, and he sat down for an interview and laid out exactly. And this is back in 1984, and he laid out exactly how they're going to infiltrate the education system. And China, Russia, all our opposition, and they played chess. They played the slow game, and they went in and basically changed the minds of a whole generation. And we're seeing the fruits of their labors now.
Exactly right, man. And it's horrible. And the more, Mike, that I read about U.S. history, dude, seems like a lot of the times, even though we want to tell ourselves that we're the good guys, we've got this little agency called the CIA, and they are very, very good at being criminals around the world. Like they're excellent criminals, man, the best. But like, bro, some of the shit that they've done is just horrible.
Snake Plissken.
And
he's from New York.
You guys know Mike Benz? You ever watch his stuff?
Dude. Oh yeah.
Never heard of him.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you got to check him out, man. Yeah, you're gonna love his stuff.
BENZ.
Yeah, BENZ. Yep.
Yeah, he was cybersecurity.
Yeah, he was cybersecurity at State Department, right?
Yeah,
but
he's the uncovered all the USAID stuff, or dude, he announced it before even Elon was and stuff came out with it. So,
dude, actually, not to be a one-upsy, but me and Drew actually did a episode on blockchain bunker, like well before Trump even won. And basically I dug into USAID, and I peeled back the layers, and a lot of the global warming initiatives and things like that. The money wasn't going to anything to do with climate. It was actually
just a money laundering scam.
Some of which were actually, and this is probably going to get us off of YouTube, but I don't care. But some of the organizations are actually being run by ex-Weather Underground freaking founders. and they are behind the ones that are
what's Weather Underground, Mike?
Weather Underground, back in like the 60s, 70s, they were basically a U.S. terrorist organization that was setting off pipe bombs and doing all kinds of stuff. Robbed a couple of banks, but
they needed to buy materials to build more pipe bombs, so you got to rob a couple of banks.
Basically, they were an extreme arm of a lot of that kind of communist and hippie propaganda that was going on back then. And but anyway, they the money was actually going to organizations that were helping illegal immigrants, like trying to fight for legislation to allow them to vote. It was a lot of the organizations that were helping fund that Summer of Love that was going on, all across the U.S., where police were being attacked and courthouses were being burned and all that stuff. But dude, it was crazy, the stuff I was finding.
Yeah, so you're really
like January 6th.
Oh, dude! So Ben's good. He does a deep dive on that, and he was able to call it beforehand too, based on the Nikes. But man, just a massive money laundering operation. All those NGOs. So here's something that I think about sometimes. During the Biden years, remember when everyone was locked down and people were being forced to get these medical interventions, and yet there were millions of people coming across the border? I think to myself, how did those people come across the border? Because it's not like if you live in Honduras, or maybe you live in South America, you live somewhere in like Chile or something, or you're in Ecuador. What, you're just going to drop everything and suddenly walk thousands of miles up? Like, dude, how does that work? Like,
reporters went down and they were finding these stations, these camps that U.S. organizations had set up to give water and like flyers and information on where to cross and how to cross, and they giving out cell phones, prepaid cell phones.
Yeah,
dude, it was
I think it was much more than that. I think that it was like the largest human trafficking operation in history, dude. Like, American tax dollars paid to traffic people from all around the world through our southern border for what? To buy votes? Is that really what it was for? Just to pack the census and so that they could just buy votes? Like, give mass amnesty at some point, and then all of a sudden there's never an opposition party. It's just a one state, a one side nation. Was that the goal?
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, man. Like, I'll tell you this, you guys. I live in Northern California, and over the last 6 months, I've been traveling around Northern California. I've been in 20 different towns. And I remember growing up here, and Northern California, the demographics have massively changed. And it really accelerated during COVID. And so now when I drive around, number one, the roads aren't safe. Number two, it's almost every time I'm on the road, I almost get hit by a truck, almost every time. So it's a lot. So that's number one. Number two, you go to a Safeway or a grocery store anywhere in Northern California, look around at the people. The people have changed. The state, the demographics of the state have changed, and massively so, over the last 5 years. It's very, very noticeable. And I just think to myself, where did all these people come from? And are they paying taxes? Do these people have social security numbers? Because if they get injured or hurt or sick, they're going to go to the ER, and Medi-Cal is going to pay for their treatment. But they don't pay into the system, man. So
when I was living in Utah, I used to get medical bills from illegals or people that went to the ER and just, I guess, gave my address or their address, and I'd return to sender. But they just got done busting a Snap fucking fraud ring. Yeah. It's there was two Haitians that were running, I think it was $7 million or $8 million worth of
fake grocery store
cards or something like that. And we're paying for all of it. All of those Somalis that got moved up into, I think it's Minnesota. Where Alien Omar, got elected.
That is nuts. Mike, have you seen
one district?
Dude,
and that's how he got elected.
Dearborn, Michigan, man. Have you seen the videos coming out of there? Can you imagine waking up in the morning to the Muslim call to prayer, bro, in an American city? Like, you've got to be fucking kidding me, man. Like,
people are complaining about the Bible and stuff being in schools, but nobody's complaining about that.
Multiple, deployed combat vet. I have no comment on that.
Bro, like, Mike, see, that's the thing. Bro,
California hands out CDLs like that too.
I know, man. Like, you
died in accidents.
Bro, we've got to speak on this. Like, we can't be afraid to say, like, I don't agree with that. It is not okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say obscenities if I talk about it.
Wow, fucking A, man. That's horrible then, because, like, bro, you look at what's going on in Europe, like, Britain is about to become a Muslim nation. Like, and they literally have sacrificed themselves.
Well,
it's just
on the altar of white guilt. But
it's insane, man.
But I'll tell you that somebody on X, surprisingly said this, and a light bulb went off. All of these refugees from these Muslim countries, they all go to Christian countries. Not none of them. No Muslim countries take them in. Like the Palestinians, the Egyptians wouldn't take them because they know the history of last time they tried. They've been run out of pretty much everything.
That's so funny about the Palestinians, man. Have you seen, so there are videos of their educational materials, okay? There are videos of Palestinian mothers and women teaching children. Dude, it's mind-blowing. This is what a Palestinian educational video looks like. If there are 5 Jews, but you've only killed 2 of them, how many Jews do you have left to kill? It's like, I swear to God, man. Like, all of them. They teach math, man. But it's like, think about how indoctrinated you must be once you go through that type of system. Like, if you grow up like that, how do you like get out of that mindset? I don't know that it's possible. So, like, if I'm Egypt and I know that the people over there are being trained to just like kill people like that, maybe I probably don't want them coming into my country,
Yeah.
So why does that mean we have to take them? Why does the United States have to take these?
100% doesn't. But we have idiots that are more worried about being woke and more, worried about, feeling guilty or whatever, or they want votes or whatever their motivation is. They have a motivation, because I find it very hard to believe that our politicians are that stupid. I mean, I know they're stupid, but they're not that stupid.
So is it ignorance, Mike, or is it actually that
there is no freaking
motive is something evil? Well, I can't tell, man. Like,
there is no way they can be that ignorant. The committees that they sit in on, the meetings they sit in on, the intelligence reports that they get, just the people they talk to. You can be a freaking retard and be in Washington, D.C. and sit in on these meetings, and you would not make these choices. This is a focused effort. Whatever they're trying to do, it's a focused effort.
Yeah,
well, and Keir Starmer with the grooming gangs. Like, how can you sit there as the prime minister and just totally say, oh no, that's not happening, just kind of brush it under the table? I mean, Jesus Christ,
Jeff,
that's not ignorance,
bro. Decades of that. Decades.
Yeah.
And it seems like either it's because they're in on it, like the people at the top in Britain, don't they have a long history of like pedophilia or something? Like the people at the aristocrats in Britain, they've got like it's like something to do with that culture for some reason. I don't know. But like,
you don't want to admit when it's like,
I don't know, bro, but like I've seen the videos of the police in Britain coming to people's homes to arrest them for tweeting. like posting on social media.
No, they have the highest arrest rate. It's like in the 20,000 or 30,000 range now.
There was a teacher recently, I think, that wouldn't use somebody's right pronouns, and he's getting a sentence. And they're not. They're doing away with trial by jury.
Right, I saw that. And the people that live there are just taking it. They're just taking it, and they're just complying.
Right here. They're just right
here. For real, man.
I call them cucks.
Like, bro, they can't.
They're sitting in a chair in the corner, you know. But dude, Germany's getting sick of it. I was watching some videos the other day where the German people are starting to say, "Screw this."
Not sick enough.
We're done.
Not sick enough.
Start deporting them. We're done.
Anything short of mass deportations is not sick enough.
Chile, I think, elected conservative.
Yeah.
President in a pretty big landmark win. So and what Japan recently, their female version of Trump, going pretty hard. So I think, you know, it just takes some time for people to, and I hate to say it, but when it gets bad enough, you're like, oh fuck, we have to swing.
You got to ask yourself though, Jeff, Mike, you got to ask yourself, why did all of these Western nations at the same time start just flooding their respective countries with people who don't speak the fucking language, have no interest in integrating, actually want to like spread their faith by the sword there, and are a net drag on all of the social services? Why in the world would you ever do that? It's so fucking stupid, man. But it's not stupid if what their actual goal was to just subvert the entire population, the native-born population, and have this massive voter base that's beholden to them. Or maybe it was just the Batman response. Some people just want to see the world burn, man. It could have just been that simple.
And being dependent on relying on the government. You know, you bring these people in, give them all these benefits and stuff, and they'll vote for you. They'll pick you, and then they'll keep you in the system. And like these government-run grocery stores in New York that they have these plans for, it's like, okay, you hate the government and everything that they do, but you're gonna say, oh well, please feed us and give us these grocery stores.
Yeah, man. So they will say that until those grocery stores open, if they ever do.
They don't have any food.
When you go to one, there's no food there. Or they've got like a piece of bread and like some powdered milk, and that's all you can buy, but you've got to buy it on a ration card. So you can get one slice of bread and like a little bit of powdered milk, and that's it. Like, I don't think people don't read, bro. Like, people don't read history. People don't know we've been through this before. This is not new. But unfortunately, if you don't know what happened 50 or 100 years ago, you're doomed to repeat it. And dude, I don't want to live through that.
That's back to, the freaking, the KGB spy, Yuri, freaking, that's what happened is they got into our education system and stuff that even before, me, I mean, I'm 51, the stuff that was taught in grade school and stuff was like light years ahead of, what I was taught and way ahead of what's taught now. Simple things like home economics, where they teach you how to cook and clean. They teach you how to balance a checkbook, just basic financial responsibility. They don't even teach that shit anymore. And you wonder why, credit card debt is at all-time highs. History, they have this weird history that they teach now because the old history is, male-dominated.
What's so weird about that, Mike? Those 3 books, 1984 and the other 2, they all do that. All of those dystopian societies, they change the meaning of language, of words, and then they change the history. And then it's like, okay, now we can indoctrinate an entire population to a bunch of bullshit.
I'm sure you saw all those weird posts on social media where, basically they were trying to say that like all these historical figures were all black, like, you know, like these Vikings,
you know, like
the English royalty and like Nostradamus, and I mean, you name it. If it was somebody of note, they were actually black. You know, I was like,
AI,
this is weird.
Like, what is the obsession with race, man? Like,
I don't know.
I feel like things were less racist before Obama. Like that, honestly. Like, I think
and you look at the metrics and stuff on all the racism and these words and the DEI and the gender stuff. It's all starting to get a little squirrely. You know, after what 2011, I think 2012 is when it really starts to ramp up.
Obama.
Dude, when I was a kid, it didn't matter what your race was. Like comedians, black comedians made fun of every race, white comedians made fun of every race. Everybody laughed, everybody had a good time. Honestly, for the most part, the most of the generations, the older people, they were still the racists, but for the most part, racism felt like it was gone. You know, I mean, I'm sure that there's pockets of it.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Deadwood.
Oh yeah. No, but I don't know. It's just, it really sucks because everybody has paper skin and glass bones now.
And bro, the best jokes are the racist ones. They're the funniest jokes, dude. Like,
dude, I remember being in the barracks in the military, and just depending on what experience I wanted is who I hung out with. Because like the black guys would play dominoes and spades, drink gin and juice, and talk shit. If you wanted to go and fight, if you just wanted to fist fight, you go hang out with the cowboys and drink Budweiser and drink Marlboro Reds or smoke Marlboro Reds.
Yeah, you drink enough, you're going to be drinking those Marlboro Reds, man.
Oh, dude, if you wanted to go, in the beer bottles, you'd be drinking beer. Cigarette
my God, you ever done that before? Oof.
Oh, dude, so disgusting. Yeah. But if you wanted to go pick up ladies, you went out with the Puerto Ricans because they like the thick girls, and I didn't like the thick girls, so they would take the thick girls. I'd get the thinner girls. But no, it's just. But all of us hung out. We all talked shit. We all had fun and laughed. It's just none of us cared about race. There's a saying: we're all green in the army. We're all green. We just all come from different places, and you had black hillbilly black dudes that hung out with the white dudes and, smoked Marlboro Reds and drank Budweiser because, he went, noodling for catfish, and, it's just, he was a country boy too, we didn't freaking care. Now it's like, everything's about race. It's so annoying.
Yeah, man, I just don't like hearing it all the time. It's in all media. It's in all our media everywhere. Like you log into Netflix, you log into Amazon Prime, you are on your phone, on X or on YouTube, and all you see is something about, race this, gender that. And it's like that stuff is used to divide people. And that makes them easier to control, but there's no actual value there for the individual. I think people have way more in common with one another than what they have that separates them. So to be so focused on the color of your skin, I think is really stupid.
I'll tell you why. It's a double-edged sword. Like you said, race, gender, all that stuff divides, but at the same time, it doesn't just divide, it creates what you talked about before, where you have the victim and that victim mentality. And you see a lot of people that are made out to be the victims, which are mostly minority groups in the US, marginalized groups, and they make them out to be victims. And when you're in that victim mindset, then you're easily controllable. And a lot of those victim mindsets, they end up on, SNAP and public assistance and things like that because, I can't do this or that, or, I'm oppressed. So, I'm not going to succeed. So I'm just going to do this and I'm going to be fine. And you get that multi-generational where they're dependent on the government and on the system. I've watched it. I grew up on welfare with a single mom for the most part. And I watched some of my, family, that happened where, and then they had kids and they were on public assistance and and their kids were on public assistance. And it's like this self-perpetuating machine that just creates dependence. And those people are going to vote for whatever is going to keep that gravy train with biscuit wheels rolling.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that's true, man. But you know what? There is something called in-group preference. So as humans, we like people who look like us. Like that is definitely a thing.
A black guy, a Jew, and an Indian walks into a bar.
And what happens? Yeah, DeFi Don, man. I mean, look, we need to be able to just like joke and not be like so hurt that you're talking about someone's race, bro. Like, come on, like give it up.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, if it's funny, I'll laugh. It's like I'll laugh at myself. I don't care, dude. If it's funny, it's funny.
Well, my dad, growing up in my household, my dad would always talk shit to us, and we were loud, and you got to be able to take a joke and not cry over spilt milk. And I don't think a lot of people have that, and being able to banter with other people. But he also said, treat people with respect, like you want to be treated, no matter who they are, where they come from. And I feel like people need to take more of that into consideration or learn that as a skill, and just really immerse yourself with people who aren't like you, get to know them. When I lived in California as a kid, I had people with all kinds of races as friends. And then I moved to Carolina and it was just black and white, some Hispanic, little Asian, but I got to really immerse myself with people from other, like, African-American culture. And then coming back here 10 years ago, I have a whole host of friends who are different backgrounds and shit. So, it's just really getting around people who aren't just like you, and also finding people who can take a joke and talk shit back to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are my people. Those are my people. I hang out with you and you're gonna talk shit and like get me riled up. Those are my people.
That's right, man. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So
nobody's born a racist.
I don't think so.
Taught by the family. And how do you teach these kids who to get out of that dependency of the system? Because my mom worked in public housing for a while, and she saw people trying to hustle their SNAP and stuff to her. And so, she saw these generations of families who were dependent and just abused the system. And I can see the other side where, Mike, you're in your situation, you guys didn't depend on it, but used it as a tool to get to the next step, to get out of that. And you obviously didn't take advantage of the system. So how do you teach these kids to, how to be hard workers and not to be just reliant on shit?
Honestly, I don't. And I'm probably going to regret saying this just because it's probably not true, but I almost don't think it can be taught by somebody, like from one person to another. You almost have to come, like for me, it was, and that's all I can speak on, is it was a moment of realization that I could follow that path. As a kid, I actually vividly remember it. Like I said, I'm 51. And I vividly remember the moment that I looked around and saw how everyone was living around me. And I was like, if I stay here, this is going to be my life forever. I'm going to be living in a trailer park on, public assistance. Best case scenario, I'm going to be like the manager at one of the little local businesses around here. And I'm going to keep food on the table and a roof over my head. And that's about it. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted more than that. And I definitely didn't want to be on public assistance, and there was just no opportunity. Meth was starting to become a thing, and a lot of my buddies, were starting to do stuff like that. And I was like, fuck this, I'm out. And I went down to a truck stop with a backpack in Payson, Utah. stuck my thumb out and got a ride on a truck, went out to LA. And it was when the LA riots were going on in like 1992, I believe it was. And I saw the smoke rising from the city.
Oh shit, that was you, Mike, in Korea?
What's that?
In 1992?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I told the dude I was riding with, I was like, dude, I'll get out here. I got out, headed back east, and went to Michigan, and stayed with some family in Flint, Michigan, and joined the military. And but yeah, it's just I had to get out of there. And for a lot of people, the military is that place. You know, it gives you a roof, it gives you food, it gives you training, it gives you opportunities where you can go to college. You know, all these people that are complaining about college loans, there's ways that you don't have to incur debt. You know, you serve the nation, you serve the American people. Is it optimal? No, but you get paid to go to college. Like, I got my degree, I got paid a stipend. All my freaking tuition was paid, my books were paid, and they actually paid me a little bit of money to help, you know, for like living costs while I went to school. So there's ways you can go to college, you know, without incurring these huge debts. That's why it's really hard for me to feel bad for a lot of these people that went out and voluntarily signed those loans to, you know, where they want to cry about it now. It's like, you got the degree, you can't get a decent job with the stupid degree you got because you got it in gender studies or something like that,
right?
Thinking that you were cool, you know, that you were super woke and impressed all your buddies.
Bro, like, that shouldn't even be an option. Like, you should not be able to get a loan to get a degree that has zero value. Like, that's a scam. You're scamming yourself. You shouldn't be able to do that.
It should be STEM only. It should be STEM only.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to learn a skill set that actually has value in the real world. And I'm sorry, but like, ethnic studies does not have any real value in the real world at all.
But even the trades, man, like, you don't even need to go to school. You can get an apprenticeship, and within 2 years or a year at most, and you're making bank.
Jeff, that's probably a better idea for most kids.
Well, most companies, like, before you even graduate, a lot of trades, like especially like underwater welding and stuff like that. There's companies that have relationships with the schools to where if you like graduate and like you do well, they'll actually pay for your education if you sign up with them for like a year or two.
Bro, underwater welding, man, what a job, dude. Can you imagine living off in like you know, one of those oil drilling platforms in like the Black Sea or something?
Yeah.
And, like, you're out there for like 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and you spend all day just underwater, like in scuba gear, like welding shit. Bro.
Well, man. Mike Rowe has his whole you know, the dirty jobs guy. He's got his whole university or some kind of program that they offer scholarships to people and stuff.
Exactly.
He's like, we don't have enough people for all the building that we want, the manufacturing stuff that we're bringing back. You know,
bro, we need 10,000 Mike Rowe's, dude. Like, that's what we need. You know,
dude, he was the first one ringing that bell. You know, like years, and like back when he was doing dirty jobs, he was ringing that bell, and because he used to do interviews, and he would talk about like kind of why he did that show. And he's like, we're about to be in a huge crisis. You know, everyone thinks they have to go to college, get in all this debt. But when we don't have electricians, we don't have plumbers. The majority of them are old as shit and about to retire, and we don't have people replacing them. So, you know, he was going through metal workers, welders, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, roofers, you know, concrete workers, all of them. They don't have enough of them.
And dude, you can make bank in a lot of those trades too.
Dude,
so, and AI is going to be
electrician, you can get paid $80 an hour or more. Just, like, as a journeyman electrician.
Bro, that's $160K a year, man. That's crushing it.
Yeah. No, like, as an apprentice, like I wasn't even a journeyman. I wasn't licensed. I was just like the helper. I was making $30-$40 an hour.
Dude, that's still really good. But the reason why people don't do that is because if you get a check from the government,
it's beneath it.
Well, I mean, but like if you get, you know, if you're supported by welfare, and I can just tell you that in Northern California, like depending on the county that you live in, if you're making less than $60,000 a year, you might actually be better off just not working at all. And so here's the problem, man. Like if you are dependent on government benefits and maybe you're able to like make $3,000 a month, or there's no taxes on that, it's tax free. So these government benefits, like that means that you are disincentivized from going out to get a job. Because if you go out and get a job, all of a sudden you stop getting benefits. So
it's a trap. That's my mom. That's what happened to her. There was a couple of times where she tried to get off welfare, food stamps. Back in the day, they had those little books that had all the little funny money in it. And she tried to get off all that. And as soon as she'd go get a job, they'd cut her off. Right. It's like they wouldn't even give her like 2-3 months to build up a little bit of a nest egg as a buffer. As soon as she got a job, she was cut off. There's no way to get out.
And so, but I think that's by design. Like a lot of these welfare systems, it starts with this warm, fuzzy feeling of like, oh, we're going to do good for people. We don't want anyone to starve, right? And of course, you don't want anyone to starve. But dude, there are food kitchens and churches, like, food pantries. No one's going to starve, man. But so that starts off with the emotion, right? And that pulls people in. And you say, oh, we're just going to set up this program and we're going to give people who really need it the money to buy food. Okay, great. But then 5, 6, 7 decades later, it has morphed into this massive entitlement spending, package that's like half of what we spend or something like that. And it's so pernicious that the incentive mechanism just keeps people in that cycle. And who do they vote for? They're not voting for conservatives. It's like you've got this massive voter base that's just kind of beholden to you because you own them. Like the person who's feeding you, you're gonna vote blue. So you get that next check. And I don't know, man, it's just like the system seems to be rigged to hurt the people at the very bottom the most. And then people just keep voting for it because that's all you know. It sucks, man.
And it doesn't benefit those people. I'll be honest. It's, I've watched it firsthand. It's just, it doesn't benefit those people at all.
It keeps you stuck. It keeps you stuck.
It keeps you alive. That's it. It keeps food in your stomach and a roof over your head. That is it.
Yeah, because what skills are you actually learning?
You exist.
Classes when you're not working? Are you just hanging out in front of the house, shooting the shit, or just getting fucked up all day? What skills are you actually accumulating?
But that's what ends up.
When you want to go get a job, it's like, oh, well, what have you been doing for these years that you've been unemployed? What skills are you bringing to the table? Oh, just sitting around shooting shit, collecting, whatever, benefits, unemployment, SNAP, whatever. It's, a lot of people don't take advantage of the time that they have got laid off or something. And
she's
Happy Friday.
Ellie came out of the weeds. She's been MIA for a while.
TGIF. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know, dude. Like going to all these different towns in Northern California over the last half a year, here's something that I've been thinking a lot about. During the next big crisis, where do I want to live? Because I remember what it was like during COVID in Northern California.
I was just going to ask you, David, if you wanted to stay in California, because I'm in the East Bay, the Bay Area. And when my mom came out to visit last year, she lived here for 40 years in San Jose. And she was riding around with me in the car, and she was terrified of all the cars on the road and the amount of people. There was just like cars just fucking going everywhere. And it's just gotten crazy. So stay or get out.
So what I've been looking for is a town. I've been looking for a red town in Northern California. That's basically what I've been looking for. And I think I may have found one. But so what I'm thinking about is during COVID, people were informing on their neighbors and people complied. There were no laws. It wasn't long.
And they call us Nazis.
Oh, like never
Snitches get stitches.
Never. Like I only complied with the mask stuff because sometimes I had to. But like, dude, there were no laws. Like, you didn't have to.
I did the mask thing out of respect when I was inside because of like elderly people and people that have compromised immune systems. I'm like, you know what? Not a big deal. I'll put it on a mask, even if it just makes them feel better. But when I was outside, I was like, screw you. I'm not playing this silly game where I'm driving around in my car by myself with a freaking mask.
And you still see people doing stuff now. You still
so
see
ridiculous.
Yeah. And like, dude, they knew that the masks didn't actually work at all. And even the N95, they knew that it was bullshit.
It didn't take a scientist to know that an N95 mask does not like the size of the virus. Like the mask does not stop it. You basically need one of those freaking ones you see in the movies with, where they got the monkey virus and they're trying not to, freaking get the zombie virus.
Like, I can't forget that, man. Like, I can't forgive that. I can't forget that. Like what was done to us, man. Like they knew that. And then they kept pushing it. But then I'm thinking about like, where do I want to live, man? Because during the next big crisis, whatever it is, if I know that in California, people were informing on each other and they were like so eager to comply with the next bullshit edict from on high that they were like falling over themselves like, oh, do I have to wear 3 masks today, good sir? And it's like, oh,
dude, they were taking pride in that shit.
Exactly. And so that's what I'm thinking, like, okay, well, if I can find a red town, then at least I have a shot at not being like snitched on, basically. But I don't know that exists in California. And I just think that, man, like when there's another big problem, California will be the first state to just go down the tubes, man. Because if COVID showed us one thing, it's that our infrastructure and the logistics for transporting goods are very fragile. Like they're not. I thought that they were robust, and they are not. So
I worked as a truck driver for Swift it's only for like 6-7 months in between the Marine Corps and the Army. And I'll tell you, dude, people don't realize how fragile our way of life is. If there was like a power outage that lasted like nationwide or even a large portion of the US for even a week or two, it would take years for us to recover. And I mean, if you don't have skills, like I talk about this with friends and family all the time, not to be a doomsdayer or anything, but people don't realize how dependent we are. Like Mexico and China, those transformers that are up on telephone poles,
right?
We don't produce those anymore. We just got done giving a stockpile. Biden gave our stockpile.
Probably to Ukraine or something.
And if there was like a solar flare or an EMP or some cascade event that went across the U.S. power grid and took out a large portion of it, like they've done studies, and it's like, I want to say it's like 70%. If it lasts for over like a month or two, it's like 70% of the population would be dead, because anybody that requires any sort of like, medical, as far as, breathing machines, insulin needs to be refrigerated. So anybody with diabetes is at risk. There's a lot of really small things a lot of people don't think about, that if there was a small event, those balloons that were flying over that, were China weather balloons or whatever, if there was some sort of EMP device on those in the upper atmosphere, they could take out a large swath of the US.
Yeah, man. One of those Chinese EMPs or something. But like,
yeah,
dude.
No, and people might laugh at stuff like that, but I mean, what better way to take over a country than let them eat themselves, from within, and then you just roll in as a savior and just be like, hey, here's food, here's medicine, we're here to help. And now they have all the infrastructure. There's none of the damage. Nobody got killed. People are welcoming you with open arms. What better way?
I mean, bro, like I get the sense more and more now that all of the luxury and convenience and security that I think I have, it's a complete illusion. So number one, security, totally fake. Because if you really
look at the TSA,
like, bro, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about security in your home and when you go out, like to the grocery store. I think that that's an illusion now. I think that there's so much random violence. I think it's massively underreported. And I don't think that you're actually safe anymore just in your own home or going to buy food. So that's number one. Number two, all of the convenience. If there was no electricity, bye convenience. And then number three, like being able to just buy food. Like, dude, I don't own a ranch. I don't have any cows or pigs or chickens. Like, like how the fuck am I going to eat? I'll tell you how. I'm going to go take it from someone else. And guess what? How long would it take for people to get to that point? I think probably
1 week,
2 or 3 days. I think
1 week tops. And you can look, and this isn't just my guess. You can look at like Hurricane Katrina. Look at what happened in Louisiana during that. The Utah National Guard, them and a bunch of other National Guards went out there to help, and they watched it. There was a bunch of research and data that was done on how quickly the populace degraded. Like the first couple of days, communities came together and, hey, I got water, I got food, I got you, don't worry. And, like everybody was helping each other out, and everybody had their boats. You could see it on the news, and they were, getting people off rooftops and things like that. And then you started seeing the looting, and you started seeing the guys, with the beer and the TVs on their shoulder, wading through the water, coming out of stores from the news helicopters.
It's like, bro, you can't eat a TV. Like, what are you doing with a TV, bro?
And a bunch of the military guys that went down there to help were reporting that they were getting shot at when they were trying to go over, like in Blackhawks, when they were trying to go over and rescue people off of rooftops, because they thought that they were law enforcement trying to stop them from looting.
Oh, dude. And
you got to figure with all that, all that's going on, there's no goods, there's no services, the power's out, there was a lot of people in old folks homes that were just left to die. The staff just left them there.
And bro, I mean, that was from a hurricane. Like what happened during COVID was a total own goal. Like we did that to ourselves. It was the policies that were enacted as a result of the virus that really killed people. It wasn't the virus itself. And so I'm just thinking to myself, all right, well, outside of a natural disaster, like in Northern California, a massive earthquake, or in Florida, a huge hurricane, or in Louisiana, a hurricane and flooding, outside of something that you don't have control over, if there was some other type of lockdown event in California, because I don't know, what would the reason for the lockdown event be this time? Who knows? You could probably just make up some ridiculous reason and they would do it. But I think that there would be the exodus out of the state would accelerate. And I'll be the first one, maybe go to Utah. I don't know. What do you think makes sense, Mike? What's the best state to go to?
Honestly, I moved up in, northern Idaho, eastern Washington, western Montana area, because it's one of the few places I found. I kind of saw the writing on the wall when I retired about 10, 11 years ago. I was down in Utah, and I saw just a massive flood of Californians that were coming into Utah.
Oh fuck, they're the worst. I hate those Californians.
Dude, no, housing, like cash, people were paying cash. My 274,000, like I had just over 5,000 square foot house I had built.
I had a big house, man.
I had it. Oh, dude, everything that you were supposed to have to be happy, I had it, and I was miserable. Yeah. I had this massive house. I had the freaking Malibu wake setter ski boat and the truck to pull it. And I had all of it. I had a couple rental properties. I sold it all because I was sitting in that huge house after I retired out of the military, and I was miserable. I was working at a coin shop, doing precious metals and grading collectible coins. Sold it all, moved up here. I did a bunch of road trips though. I went through Montana, I went through Idaho, I went through Washington, and I was just like, where are the places that I align with the people and the values? Where is it where people have the old school skill sets, like, raising animals and, gardening and, just they, just kind of have that close knit community and as remote as possible. I want to be as far away from any large population centers as possible. And that's how I landed here.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, the only thing is I can't exactly like meet any women out there alone on a ranch, like
honestly, I have better I've had better luck up here than I ever did down in Utah.
Nice, man.
Yeah, but finding a good one.
Again, I don't care about being single either. So,
yeah, I want kids though. Like that's the thing. Like I think about that a lot.
Yep.
So.
Right here,
honestly, dude, I've seriously thought about if I wanted to have a kid, I would just do one of those surrogates. Just pay somebody 10, 20 grand. It's a lot cheaper than having to deal with a baby mama that you have to give child support to or something like that. Have your own kid. It's your kid. You can, for the most part, choose the genetics of the mom. And, it's then you don't have to deal with any of that shit. There's some other weird dude isn't going to be raising your kid because your wife decides to leave you or some shit like that. Because your wife can go cheat on you. She gets full custody of your kid. Other dudes raising your kid. Screw that, dude.
So Mike, do you guys ever? Okay, so on social media, sometimes on my feed, I'll get shorts of like women in other countries. Okay, and women in Eastern Europe. All right, like young women in Eastern Europe, like in their 20s. Yeah. The things that they talk about on social media are way different than the things that I hear Western women talk about, where it's like Western women are talking about, I want to be a girl boss and, like I'm gonna, like, I don't want to have to compete with my wife, bro. Like, I don't want that. I want a female woman. Like, I don't want to have someone who wants to be a man, like.
Yeah. That's where the feminist movement really did everyone wrong. Especially the women. It's like, oh, you can be your own boss and like be the alpha and the executive. And it's like at some point we need these roles.
Right.
Yeah.
There are gender roles for a reason because women are different from men. We like different things. And you start pumping into the mind of young girls that they should try to be like men. It's stupid, man. And that's how you end up with, a generation of young women who are 30 or in their early 30s with no kids.
The masculine and feminine energy, they complement each other. It's throughout different cultures. You got the yin and the yang, the masculine, the feminine, just whatever you want to call it. But the feminine energy is nurturing and supporting. It's traditionally they gave, they made the home. I mean, it's like a guy can build a house. I mean, I built my house, but a woman turns it into a home. A woman, makes it to where it is inviting. There's that, positive energy to where a guy can go out in the world and hunt and gather and do battle and have a place to come back to where he can take off his armor.
That's your peace. Right.
And,
that's yeah.
Breath.
She's like your peace, man.
Our society, dude, is men have no place like it to express, being a man, and then a place to come back to where they can decompress. They just build and build and build until they go on these, freaking, violent sprees, we'll call it.
Yeah, I think the going postal thing, I think that's some type of like new age mental disorder or something. But like, yeah, dude, like I want a woman where I come back home and it's peaceful. I don't have to fight about stupid bullshit. Like, why can't we just coexist together like people used to? And I think it's because women are more susceptible to the nonsense on social media, I think, than men are. So
women are more emotional by nature. I mean, and I don't mean that in a negative way.
it's just
They're
true.
that's that feminine energy. It's like that's why they're more nurturing. That's why they're more in tune with how kids are feeling and their friends and their family and their spouse or whoever they're in a relationship with, is because they're more emotional.
But that also makes it, but it makes women much easier to manipulate. And I think that there's a lot of media out there that is intentionally manipulative of young women and girls for a nefarious purpose. It's just like, dude, I don't.
Well, it goes back to what you were talking about with the education system. The feminist movement. It started in colleges, to where it's like you're being oppressed, you're a victim, you need to get out of the house, to where you're being a slave to a husband, and get out in the world. They doubled the tax base by doing that. Instead of having just men out working, or one person in the household out working and the other one in the household taking care of the household.
That's a good point, Mike.
They got both people out there working, paying taxes now. They doubled the amount of tax generation.
The monetary system, like, you cannot support a household on one salary unless that one salary is like, $250,000 a year or something.
Not anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's the money is broken. So like the culture is broken because people are being told to want things that are bullshit. The money is broken. And now, especially in the West, they've been importing people that don't share their values and don't want to integrate and in fact want to conquer them. So it's like the West looks like it's committing suicide, man. And so that's why I think about like, where do I want to live? And I think America is the last place that's going to be good. Like, so I want to stay in America, but at the same time, where, because I don't know that I really want to live in Idaho.
Passport, bro. Be a passport, bro.
Yeah. Oh, great.
No, it's, dude. And if you're not, knowledgeable about, I was deployed.
Have you read it?
Yeah. No, dude. I read this when the Quran when I was deployed. It's, if you want to, you need, it's, goes back to Sun Tzu, know the mind of your enemy. What is it that motivates them? That's what, but it teaches in there that to convert the non-believer, you go, and that's what's happening is they're going into, and you can watch it throughout history, is they get into a place when they're the minority, then they're just, very successful. They go, they try to go to work, a lot of, early immigrants. And as they become a larger and larger part of the population, they start to demand more and more, like the Sharia law, and having their own considerations where dogs are considered dirty. Don't walk your dogs in this area, because this is a Muslim area. It has to be halal.
So that is totally incompatible with the West.
Exactly, but they're not looking to be compatible. That's what I'm saying.
I know.
The majority of them, not all. I never deal in absolutes, but the majority of them will, that's what they're looking for. Is they're looking to convert everybody, and if you don't convert at some point, you're forced. Look at around the world. Look what happens is, Christians, they're murdering Christians in droves in a lot of Muslim countries, and it's not even on the news.
Yep. Yeah, man. The difference now is that, anyone who tells you that this isn't happening, it's like, bro, you can watch it on video. Like, this stuff is recorded every day. Like, just open up your phone, go to X, and in any European city, you can see horrible things happening every day. And the same thing in some American cities too.
Dude, people want to bring up stats in the U.S. I just found out the other day, Middle Eastern ethnicities are labeled as white in statistics in the U.S.
Yeah.
And so that's why they talk about white men. that are committing rape and all these other things.
Sure.
See some of the shots and the police profiles are like, oh, white man.
There isn't dirty, pieces of crap that do that of all races, but it goes to show you that.
But it's coming mostly from one group, okay? And like, you got to be able to call a spade here. Like, you can't be afraid to call out the truth because you think some asshole is going to call you a racist.
Oh, no, I don't care about that. I'm just about data. And whenever you have to understand how the data is collected. And in this case, it's not accurate. And so, like I said, I felt it necessary to point that out because I was astounded. I actually had to do a bunch of digging to make sure that was accurate when I saw somebody make that claim. And
control the data. Just like with COVID, you can manipulate the data to skew it to what you want it to
whatever
look like.
Narrative.
Yep.
Bro, yeah, that COVID stuff was next level, man. Just real next level. You guys ever consume any content about psychological operations and psychological engineering? Never. Of course. Man,
no,
just like. Dude,
never what is that, David? Please.
I don't know, man. It's just like, what in the fuck? Like, we've been psyoped. Like, the entire West has been psyoped into feeling white guilt for no good fucking reason. Like, white people ended slavery. Like, okay, so psyoped into white guilt, psyoped into believing nonsense about foreigners who want to rape and kill us. And our money has been destroyed. And it's like, man, how did we let this happen? And, I got to say, I do feel quite a bit of contempt for the boomer generation. I really do. I'm really angry that boomers let this shit happen. And it really sucks because I want to have kids. I want a family, and I want to be able to pass on Judeo-Christian values to my children when I have them. And to be able to do that, I don't know that I can do that in California, though. Like, that's
globally, white people are the minority.
Yeah, man.
If you want to get down to brass tacks about who's the minority, if you look globally, white people are the minority.
Yeah, bro. Well, sometimes I forget we're live on YouTube. Like,
you know what? I honestly, that's why it's so great that we're not monetized. I really don't care. I believe in America. I believe in freedom and liberty. Me and Jeff, we've talked about this multiple times. It's like, yeah, sure, we want to make money with the channel. But you know what? It's more, my values and my integrity are more important than making money. And I know Jeff feels the same way. We've, like I said, we've had multiple discussions, and I'm not going to play into I'm going to say what it is I want to say. And I don't care if Google or freaking, YouTube or whoever, or the AI they got now, freaking lists us or whatever it is that they do. You know what? Cool. I'm going to keep on saying what I'm going to say.
Yeah. My integrity is worth way more.
I've been offered a lot of money before.
I was about to make a joke about that, Mike,
if I was willing to compromise my integrity. I've had, civilian jobs and, even contracting jobs. After I got out of the military, I got a couple of offers to go do shady shit. And I was like, no, I'm good. But it was, multiple 6-figure freaking salary with bonuses to, go do shady shit. And I'm like,
that's the thing. Maybe it just wasn't enough money. So what's the number, man? Like,
there is no number.
So there's no number that's going to get you in a back room with Diddy on camera doing some weirdness. No number that's going to do that.
Nope.
That's right.
It's to me, that's what makes a man. And not to say that I'm perfect. But to me, integrity is what makes a man. If your word doesn't mean something, if you don't stand for something, and if you don't know what your left and right limits are, then you're not a man.
So what are you going to do?
Bought for any price.
So what are you going to do when you die and you're standing in front of your maker and he asks you about that Diddy party? And he's like, hey, man, you were sucking a dick in the back room.
Hey,
$12 million.
I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna be like, hey, no, you presented that opportunity to me. I thought that's what you wanted, man.
I must have my twin.
I baby oiled up and I jumped in the pile.
There is no situation, man. Like, oh, dude.
And I think it's an important thing to learn from those around you too, because like with relationships and stuff, I saw
make eye contact.
Yeah. I saw when I lived with my brothers and the way that they handled relationships and, the females that they were engaged with, I was like, I don't want to be involved with girls like that and promiscuous. And, now they're, married and with kids and completely changed. But when they were single, I mean, it was game on. And I was like, that's just, I don't want that. I don't want that drama, the hassle. Like, it's just not worth it. No matter how good it is, it's just not worth it. That's why with the money, you see all these people getting compromised and, oh, well, you were at this party or on this island or in this situation. Like, no, fuck that. I don't care how much it's worth. I'm not going to deal with that headache or drama or potential, doxing later on.
Because it'll be held over your head for the rest of your life. And even if no one else finds out about it, who knows? You do.
It's more than that. It's true integrity is doing it even if you think you're never, like, not doing it even though you hold on, not doing it even if basically if you're like, no matter if people are watching,
I know what you're saying.
If people are watching or not, you just don't do it. If you think you're going to get caught or not, you just don't do it because it's the wrong thing to do. That's the bottom line. And I mean, I have never once cheated. I've lied before. We've all lied. I mean, you got to, but only when it was necessary, but, well, there's situations you gotta lie. Like, does my ass look fat in this dress, baby? You look stunning. You look stunning.
Oh man, yeah. No, I just like, dude. I don't want the dreams from that shit.
No.
I don't want to, wake up in the middle of the night and think about, oh God, like what did I do? I don't want to have to live like that. Like, fuck that, man.
I'm my own worst judge. I judge myself way too hard. I just cannot allow myself to stray at all. And it served me well. Just having that discipline and that focus when other people are, drinking and womanizing and, doing, drugs and, different things. And I can just be among that and just be like, I'm good. I mean, I worked in the car business. I've been at some really seedy parties with people doing some really seedy stuff. And I'm just like, no, it's like, I can exist here, but I'm not going to partake in any of it. That's just not me.
Depends what it is.
It does, but no, I mean, you can have fun, but I cannot bring myself to do things that make me lesser or that make someone else lesser. If I see it as I am contributing to somebody else being, becoming a lesser version of themselves, or if that action is going to make me a lesser version of myself, I just cannot bring myself to do it.
Humiliation, stuff like that.
Yeah. Unless it's consensual.
Oh man, fucking A, dude. Yeah. I don't know. I just I like the way that I live, like I don't have anything to worry about. Like I don't do wrong to anyone. All I do is provide value and I love my job. And I just want to be able to provide value to more people for free. Like this is what I want to be able to continue doing. And so that's why it bothers me so much where I live, because I think about what happened just a couple of years ago and what could happen in the future. And it's like, man, I won't be able to continue doing what it is that I love here, I don't think. And I think about that way, way, way too much. But I don't think there's much to do about it, though. Like what can one person really do? I don't know. I don't want to get suicided either, and start going, spouting off at the mouth on YouTube, but I might end up shooting myself twice in the head or something,
One thing that I thought about, because I thought about that myself, quite a few times throughout my life, is, how much of a difference can I make as an individual? And I settled on that in my sphere of influence. So things that are in my direct control. The only thing I have 100% control of is myself, my actions, my words, things like that. And so I try to live in a way that I feel is honorable, and hopefully it serves as an example to somebody, because usually actions speak louder than words. You can preach at somebody all day long, trying to tell them what you think is right. But if you just live a good life, I mean, look at Jesus. If you believe in him or not, if you're a Christian or not, he's a historical figure that lived according to, scripture, a very humble life, a very giving life. He was, trying to make the world a better place. Look at how much he influenced. He was basically a homeless person back in the day. Look how much he's influenced the world, both positive and negative, depending on how people used it. But overall, he taught charity. He taught forgiveness, things like that. That's what all we can do is, that's the big, life hack is live.
But at the same time though, Mike, like we've literally got an existential threat that we're facing as white men in the West now. And it's being perpetrated on us by our own fucking governments, bro. Like,
what are you going to do?
Right. That's the point. What are you going to do?
Move out in the woods and become self-sufficient?
No, I mean, I like
gold, silver, and crypto.
Yeah, man. It doesn't sound like a bad idea, but at the same time, though, I think it's an abdication of duty. I think that we have some type of duty to do something about it. And you know who's not doing anything about it? All of the white people in Europe. They are not doing anything about it, except for those in like Poland and Hungary. They're like the only countries that stood firm on their principles and said, no, we will not accept these invaders into our country, period. And every other country has let millions of people in and they're getting raped and murdered. And it's like, well, duh, what did you expect to happen? And, it's like, I think that that's going to happen in blue states here. It's already happening. You got people going around like the Brown University killer, like that's just, the Americanized version of that type of violence. It seems like it happens every single day now. And that's why I feel like when I go out, I'm not safe. Like I feel like I need to be carrying a weapon everywhere I go because I just don't feel, I feel like the safety is an illusion. But I also feel like I've got some type of duty to make it better. I just have no idea how. And then I think to myself, well, if I go on social media and start speaking openly about what I think, will I get canceled or banned, or will my livelihood be taken from me? Or like, will someone show up my door and, like just shoot me? Like, or will I get Charlie Kirked? It's like, no, of course not. I don't have a following like that. But is it possible? Sure. And is there this level of anti-white just hatred out there now where people are killing white people just because they're white? It's like, yeah, I think there actually is. I think that's a real thing. And it's like, dude, what do you do about something like that? You know, I have no idea what to do except to focus on my family. But I feel like that's an abdication of duty in some way.
I just do what's right and let the cards fall where they may, or what I think is right, and let the cards fall where they may. You know, like I said, I sold all that bullshit that I had because I saw what was going on. I moved out here, and you know, it's like I've actually told Jeff, I was like, dude, you work remotely, you should like come, you know, get a place up here, put a tiny house on my property, whatever. So, David, if you want to come up here too, let's start a freaking DeFi community. We'll have a garden. You know, fucking, you know, you can, you know, find a lady, pop out some kids, and
I was about to say, like, that's the thing though, bro. Like, I feel like that is probably the duty. I think that white men probably have a duty to populate, like to procreate. I think that that's probably the duty that I'm abdicating, if I'm being completely honest, because
it's the only thing that you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, what else are you going to do, honestly, other than, you know, fucking, you know, rally against the fucking wall, you know, and scream and yell and beat on the wall. It's nothing you can do. The only thing you have power over is yourself and how you react, or fucking, you know, or proactive. And that's, you know, there's a bunch of people, a bunch of my neighbors, they homeschool their kids because they don't trust sending them to the schools.
They should homeschool.
Most of the kids are way smarter than their peers.
Dude, so I've got a story about COVID for homeschooling. Okay, so during COVID, man. So
this is over a blockchain basement and discover crypto. This is his dad. He's like, that's how Idaho started. He's talking about the white supremacists up in northern Idaho. There's a bunch of white dudes that got together because, you know, the darky was coming.
Bathroom break.
Oh man. So yeah, no, dude. Like, so during COVID, I had this job working for I was working for this guy, okay, and I was taking care of his children. He had 3 kids. He was going through a divorce. I was taking care of his kids during COVID because he just couldn't. And I was living on his property. He had this massive property, and I had the guest house. And so every morning I would get his kids up, I would make them breakfast, and then we turned one of the bedrooms in his house into a classroom. And so during COVID, you know, everyone was forced to stay home, and the kids would go to school through their laptops. All right. So that meant that in the morning from 7 until noon, I was basically the like babysitter or whatever, like taking care of these 3 kids and young kids, 7 and 10 and 10. And so as they're going to school in these classes, because I was sitting there for the morning until noon, I saw what they were being taught, you know, in school on screen. And one of the teachers was a flamboyantly gay man. And he would have conversations. Remember, we're talking about little kids. He would have conversations, and this is in class, about political topics. And he was teaching math, but like with fucked up examples about like political and gender topics. And like, dude, I saw this, okay? Like, no one can tell me, oh, that wasn't what it was. Like, bro, I saw it, okay? For weeks, months. And like, that's a really good reason for your kids not to go to a public school. Because like, if they're going to be indoctrinated into some type of ideology at that young age, like those teachers have so much more time with your children than you actually do, especially if you work a job. Just think about it. If the kids are at school for 8 hours a day, and then you get home from work at 6, and they're already like, you know, you eat dinner, maybe you get 3 hours with them. The teachers get 8. Who's got more influence, the teachers or you? And
do you want to go back to the tinfoil hat and
sure.
How we started this conversation? Goes back to the education system, goes back to the feminist movement. You got both parents that are working. You have kids that are only being raised by social media, their peers who are fed on social media, and the, you know, left-leaning teachers that are, you know, feeding them the propaganda. It's just this pure freaking uninterrupted freaking indoctrination of, you know, a whole generation.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And it's like indoctrination into the most toxic bullshit. Like, this ideology, man, is really like a pernicious virus because it gets into your brain, and then how do you get it out? Once you start believing all of these nonsense ideas, then it's really difficult to actually function in society. Like, how do you hold a job, man, if you can't receive any criticism without breaking down? Like, how do you actually do something useful if everything is offensive to you, and you need a safe space, and you are a man but you actually think you're a woman, and you force people to like go along with that? Like, I don't see how you can actually function in society like that.
If you're a man and you need a safe space, you're not a man.
mean,
let's just call a spade a spade.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, we need to have like Jay and Deadwood, and like one of these Friday episodes. We need to like get a good panel of people on here, for drinks and these combos, because
for entertainment.
Dude, I live for these Friday shows. The two shows I enjoy the most is probably these Friday shows, and the Wednesday shows with you and Jake, and then the Monday shows with Taylor and Jeff. It's just, I really enjoy the diversity of the conversations, because the Money Talks is all about wealth preservation, and like wills and trusts, and just traditional finance, just different vehicles to real estate, and because Taylor has the law firm for wills and trusts, but also has title companies for real estate and stuff. So he's very knowledgeable on that stuff. And then of course you and Jake with the DeFi on Wednesdays, and then of course Jeff, me and Jeff, a lot of times it's just me and him, having drinks and just shooting the shit on Fridays and decompressing from the week. I think people need this. Guys need a place to hang out with other dudes and talk shit. It's healthy. It's how dudes vent. Guys can sit in the same room, not know each other's name, be calling each other cocksuckers and mother effers and whatever else, and just making fun of each other relentlessly. Don't even know each other, and they'll be like hugging each other at the end of the night and still not know each other's names. It's just
it sounds great to me, man.
Press.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think that sounds like a good time. Having more people on the calls. Maybe when we start speaking more openly like this, maybe we'll just start to attract the people who agree. And, it could be true that most of the country agrees that, you shouldn't have men in the women's bathroom, and there are two genders, and, Islam is incompatible with the West. And that we should not be fighting each other over race. And I think that we probably have more in common with each other, especially people at the bottom. I think we probably have way more in common than we have, differences. I don't know. I think that it would be great.
Dude, honestly, that's wise words. We definitely, those of us that, not the have-nots, but just those of us that aren't insanely wealthy, or that don't worry about money, we have a lot more in common than we have different. And the more that we allow, like in social media and the news and governments and those in power to keep us divided and fighting amongst ourselves, the less that we're paying attention to what they're doing. And that's what it's all about. I mean, these are my closing thoughts. That's what it's all about. If you are paying attention, you can see that this is nothing but manipulation. They manipulate the markets. They manipulate your emotions. They manipulate societies, and they have for generations and generations. Those in power rely on keeping us on the hamster wheel producing so that they get richer and more powerful. That's how it's always worked. If you simply crack a history book, and you'll see this simple truth. So stop fighting amongst yourselves. Start realizing that it's not us against us, it's us against them. And I'm not saying in a violent way. We need to come together and we need to demand that things run the way that they should be run, to where they govern, they leave our freedoms alone and allow the cards to fall where they may. Will things be perfect? No. But we'll have our liberties, we'll have our freedoms, and we'll have the chance for a better life for us and our families. That's what it's all about. I don't care about Lambos. It's about having a dry, warm place to sleep at night for you and your family, food on the table. Everything else is gravy. So I'll get off my soapbox. David, closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts. Oh man. Well, we talked about so much. Maybe I'll just bring it back to like crypto and DeFi for a second. I mean, yeah. I mean, like, I don't know, dude. I think that I think America is the best place to be on the planet. I think you know, we have here a constitution that, if we followed it, you know, would probably result in maybe not like a paradise, but a hell of a lot better than what we are doing to ourselves now. Yeah, I just believe in live and let live, man. And I do not like the tyranny of 1,000 cuts here in California. I do not like that when I go to the grocery store, that all of the people around me suddenly look a hell of a lot different than they did 5 years ago. And I look, you can call me whatever you want to, dude. Like, I don't like that. Okay. Like, I don't feel safe with that. And I just don't want to keep seeing senseless murder every single day committed by foreigners on American soil. I don't want to see that anymore. And I think that what Trump is doing, deporting people, like, he's not doing enough. I think if we're going to have a shot at having a country, we need to have borders, and that means that if you're here illegally, you're going to be deported. And I think that we need more of that. And I think that the next couple of years are going to be great. I think that, you know, even though next year, 2026, is a midterm year, and those are typically down years for markets, it looks like as long as that QE, not QE, actually ends up working, maybe Bitcoin will find a bottom. You know, maybe it already has bottomed. You know, it could actually very well have bottomed. Maybe 75K, it sweeps the low and then pushes back up. But I think we're going to see some great stuff with AI. I think there's going to be next year some really amazing stuff. We're going to have some type of breakthrough. There's going to be some type of ASI or AGI breakthrough. Everyone will get all excited about that again, pile back into the AI trade. And I think the future is very, very bright, but it won't be if we allow communists to take control of the levers of power here again. And so that means we got to get out and vote. And yeah, man. But I think the future is super bright. Like, we've got so much to look forward to. But we can't ignore the fact that there are certain things being done to us that, you know, we can't stand for. And you know what? You can call me a racist all you want, bro. I don't care anymore. I don't care. You know, like, you can call me whatever names you want to. I'm going to do my best to speak the truth as I see it, and let the cards fall where they may. I like that saying, Mike. So, but I think the future's super bright though, bro, for sure. So that's what I got.
Nice. Jeff, take all the time you need, brother. What's your closing thoughts?
And stack skills. Learn as much as you can. Even when my downtime between my contracts, I'm learning. I'm, you know, practicing on all kinds of things, my hobbies and shit. You know, just trying to learn and absorb as much as I can, and trying to better myself. I'm not just sitting here all day watching Netflix. I'm teaching my friends about crypto and health and wellness, and, you know, stuff about politics and shit that's going on in the world that might not be great, like the whole Minnesota Somali thing. You know, people taking advantage of the system. It's like, you know, you can use these things as a tool, but if you're being reliant on all this shit, it's not good. just having conversations with people, not getting triggered by disagreeing with them. Me and my aunt and uncle have not heated debates, but we don't always agree. They're super far left, and I don't agree with most of the things that they agree with. So, but we have good conversations, and we're not yelling and screaming, and having that as a skill is very important. Like we were talking about earlier, being able to not fly off the handle if you just disagree with somebody and just say, no, fuck you, I don't want to listen to you. It's like, okay, well, maybe there's something in there that might convince me, maybe not, but being able to listen to people and sit there with them and, is a skill in itself. It might not always be the easiest task, but, and try and do what you can if you do have a family, to provide for them and to find a better path forward. And if you can homeschool, man, homeschool them. If you can't, maybe, I don't know, spend as much time with them outside of school, teaching them things that kind of go against the traditional system that might benefit them more. If you have to put them in school all day, there's no saying that you can't sit with them for 3-4 hours at night and just talk to them about your beliefs and how you view the world and just have conversations with them. A lot of kids, they might not understand a lot, but they're not stupid, unless you raise them to be ignorant. But some
people are just genetically stupid. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in the South, man. There's some pretty the hillbillies run strong.
when the eyes are a little too far apart.
Oh yeah. So I can't. That's one thing I've told my friends. I'm like, I've seen some women, they're pretty, but if the eyes are too far apart, I just can't do it.
There might be some cousins in there or something.
Yeah, and learn from people.
I say that like I was born in southeast Missouri on the border of Arkansas, so yeah, I am from hill people. So yeah, I'm definitely not talking down to hill people.
And spend some time around people that have different views, different backgrounds. Go see if you can travel around the country or even the world. Just get different views, insights, and learn from those around you. And it'll really help open your eyes to a lot more than just your narrow scope that you've been living in for so long. So yeah. And coming back to crypto, learn from these guys, as much free resources as you can, and then take that next step if you're ready to get coaching and personal training in a sense. But yeah, it's just not worth just sitting on your ass and doom scrolling and watching Netflix all day. Take control of your life. Don't just let life control you, and you'll be better off.
Life is good if you're doing life right. Honestly, it's the people that I usually see that are miserable are the ones that are on that hamster wheel. Just that never-ending hamster wheel with no end in sight. Figure out the life hack. Figure out what you want out of life, and figure out the shortest path to get there. That is how you're going to find happiness in life. It might be a Lambo and a mansion. It might be a cabin in the woods. Whatever your paradise is, or your passion is, figure that out. Figure out the shortest path from A to B and make that shit happen. Make sure every action you take in life gets you closer to that end result. And that's it. It really is that simple. So, gentlemen,
that's some fire advice right there, Mike. I like that.
That's I can't put it any more simply. You know me, I'm a pretty simple dude. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I'll break stuff down and I'll understand it enough to break it down into a very simple way. It's a trick that you use in the military, because as an instructor, you're teaching people of every spectrum of intelligence. Visual learners, audio learners, people that have to do it to learn it. Some people are super smart. some people not so smart. You have to teach, to the dumbest son of a bitch in the room, is what we used to say. So, it's otherwise you're only talking to part of your audience. So anyway, I'm buzzed. I'm going to go and have a couple more drinks and pet my cat and watch some TV and zone out. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. I love these shows. David, thank you for showing up as always.
Hell yeah, man. It was great.
I fucking love this, dude. And thank you to the chat. All of you out there on the arena, on Pump, YouTube, X, all the places you're watching. Appreciate you all. Hope you join us next Friday. We'll be doing this again. And until next time, Veteran Crypto out.
Peace.